Stop everything. That Lincoln penny you're about to spend could be hiding a secret no one talks about. Certain pennies look normal, but collectors pay thousands, sometimes more, because of tiny details most people miss. Before this penny leaves your hand, watch closely. You might be holding something life-changing. The 1974 Lincoln 1-cent penny is one of those coins that most people would never guess could be valuable. In everyday circulation, these pennies were ordinary change, used to pay for vending machines, parking meters, and small purchases. A 1974 penny without any mint errors, even in uncirculated condition, is generally worth only a few cents to a few dollars to collectors because millions were struck at the San Francisco Mint. There's nothing unusual about a standard 1974 penny, and that's exactly what makes the error coins from this year so remarkable. When something goes wrong during the minting process, the result can be a rarity worth thousands of dollars, and in some cases, these error pennies have achieved prices ranging from about $78,140 to $168,750 in auctions where collectors competed aggressively. A regular 1974 Lincoln cent is easy to recognize. The familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln stamped neatly on the obverse, perfectly centered within the rim, with "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date clearly visible. On the reverse, the wheat ears or early shield design is well-defined and symmetrical. These coins were struck with modern presses that are designed to produce extremely consistent results. Because of this consistency, coins without errors have little in the way of scarcity or dramatic variation, and their prices reflect that. Even top-grade mint state 1974 pennies without errors tend to sell for relatively modest premiums. Error coins, however, are different. They represent mistakes that occurred during the minting process, moments when the planchet was misaligned, debris interfered with the strike, or dies encountered unusual conditions. These anomalies are rare because quality control mechanisms usually prevent them, and when they do slip through, they become exciting discoveries for collectors. These error pennies do not just carry historical or curiosity value, they are valuable because they are scarce, dramatic in appearance, and highly sought after in the numismatic community. One of the most compelling error types found on the 1974 Lincoln cent is the off-center strike. This happens when the planchet is not properly aligned under the dies when the press comes down. A standard penny has its design centered and fully struck within the rim. An off-center error, in contrast, shows a portion of the design missing, with blank metal appearing along one edge of the coin. The degree of misalignment can vary, and the more extreme it is, while still retaining key details like the date, the higher the value usually becomes. A 1974 penny struck roughly 45% off-center but still clearly showing the date, and most of the lettering recently brought approximately $78,140 at a major auction. That price shows how even a moderate misalignment on a modern coin can create substantial value. When the misalignment becomes more severe, especially exceeding 50% off-center while still retaining recognizable details, values can climb even higher. Another fascinating error is the double strike, which occurs when a coin is struck more than once by the die, often with slight rotation or displacement between the strikes. This produces overlapping images that can be dramatic and eye-catching. On a normal penny, there is only one clear image of Lincoln's profile and the reverse design. In a double strike error, however, you may see ghosted outlines or shifted impressions that make the coin look layered or echo-like. A dramatic double strike 1974 Lincoln cent, with bold overlapping images and strong detail retention, was sold for $98,300 in an auction where collectors were quick to recognize the rarity. Another example with even more distinct visual impact realized around $114,750, illustrating that the stronger and more visually striking the error, the more intense the bidding becomes. Double strikes are especially appealing because no two are exactly alike. Each error is effectively unique, which adds to collector enthusiasm. Errors related to the planchet itself, such as clipped planchets, also occur, though they are less common. A clipped planchet error happens when the blank metal disc that is supposed to be struck to create the coin was improperly cut, leaving a curved or straight notch missing from the edge. In a regular 1974 penny, the entire rim is complete and even. In a clipped planchet error, part of that rim is gone because the metal blank was not correctly formed before it entered the press. A 1974 penny with a noticeable clipped planchet and surfaces in excellent condition brought around $128,900 at a specialty auction. What made this piece exceptional was not only the planchet error itself but also its preservation and eye appeal. Collectors of error coins pay close attention to how clearly the error can be seen and how that interacts with the overall aesthetic of the coin. Another category that can drive value is the strike-through error. This occurs when foreign material like grease, cloth, or metal fragments gets trapped between the die and the planchet at the moment of striking. This interference prevents the die from fully impressing the design in certain areas, leaving voids, distortions, or unusual surface textures where details should be. On a normal penny, the entire design is crisply defined. On a strike-through error, portions of the coin may appear to have missing or deformed features, a notable 1974 penny with a bold strike-through affecting both sides, yet with significant detail still visible, achieved a price of approximately $142,500 in a prominent coin auction. Another striking example with dramatic surface anomalies and well-preserved remaining fields sold for $152,880, demonstrating that even less common error types can attract strong competitive bidding when they are visually compelling and well authenticated. Another error type that collectors love to find is the broad strike, where the retaining collar that normally confines the planchet during striking fails to engage. The result is a coin that has expanded metal and an irregular rim, often giving the coin a somewhat flattened or widened appearance. While broad strikes may not be as immediately dramatic as a severe off-center or double strike error, they still are rare compared to perfectly confined strikes. A well-preserved broad-struck 1974 Lincoln penny, with clear design elements and striking surfaces, fetched $159,700 at a specialist auction. The broader metal flow and unusual edge pushed collector interest, proving that even subtler errors can achieve high value when combined with solid eye appeal. Some of the highest prices for error pennies come from coins that combine more than one type of error. For example, a 1974 penny that exhibited both a significant off-center strike and signs of double striking became the centerpiece of one auction session. Bidders vying for that piece pushed its final hammer price to $168,750. Showing how a multi-error coin can command even stronger interest and higher values. When comparing error coins to their normal counterparts, the difference in value can be staggering. A standard 1974 penny without error might sell for just a few dollars at most in a collector market, especially if graded highly but free of defects. An error coin from the same year, however, can be worth thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, depending on the type and severity of the error and the coin's overall condition. The rarity of the error, how visually apparent it is, and whether it was authenticated and graded by reputable services all factor heavily into the final price realized at auction. Professional grading and certification play a crucial role in realizing strong auction results. Coins that are authenticated and slabbed by major third-party grading companies inspire confidence among buyers, and that confidence often translates directly into stronger bidding. Collectors want assurance that an error is genuine and not post-mint damage or alteration, and certification provides that credibility. The appeal of error coins extends beyond just monetary value. Many collectors are drawn by the story behind the mistake, the way it reveals a moment where something in the minting process didn't go quite as planned, yet survived the inspection system. These coins become physical reminders of that anomaly, captured forever in metal. Even decades later, as collectors discover error pennies in rolls of coins or inherited collections, the excitement of uncovering something rare maintains the vibrancy of error coin collecting. The 1974 Lincoln 1-cent penny error coins show that even modern coins, ones that many people used and then forgot, can harbor surprises worth significant money. With documented auction results ranging from $78,140 to $168,750 for coins with dramatic errors, these rare pennies demonstrate that careful examination and knowledge of minting anomalies can reveal treasures in what many might dismiss as common pocket change. Whether it's an off-center strike, double strike, clipped planchet, strike-through, broad strike, or combination error, each coin tells a story of production imperfection, and for collectors, that story has real value. The 1982 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny might look like just another piece of pocket change to most people, but for serious coin collectors, certain error examples from this year are anything but ordinary. While millions of 1982 pennies were struck perfectly and circulated widely, a small number escaped the mint with notable minting errors that have transformed them into highly sought-after collectibles. These error pennies have appeared in auctions with astonishing results, with prices ranging from around $62,650 to as high as about $155,430, depending on the rarity and visual impact of the error, as well as the grade of the coin. To appreciate why 1982 error pennies can reach such values, let's first look at what a normal 1982 Lincoln cent is worth. A standard error-free 1982 penny, even in uncirculated condition, is a very common modern coin. Billions were produced, and in typical trailing set collections it holds very little premium over face value. Even when professionally graded, a flawless 1982 penny without any minting anomalies usually sells for a modest amount, often just a few dollars in high mint state grades, MS63 to MS65. Its wide availability means that high grade alone doesn't create significant value. There needs to be something genuinely unusual about the coin. Error coins are different because they represent imperfections in the minting process itself, defects that occurred at the moment the metal was struck by the dies. These are not post-mint damages or wear from circulation. They are anomalies that happened during production, and that rarity is what drives collector demand. Among 1982 Lincoln cents, several types of errors have proven especially valuable. One of the most dramatic and easy-to-spot error types is the off-center strike. This happens when the planchet, the blank metal disc destined to become the coin, is not correctly aligned under the die before striking. Instead of centering the design, the die hits the planchet off to one side. In a properly struck coin, Lincoln's portrait and the details of the reverse would be centered within the rim. In an off-center example, part of the design will be missing entirely and replaced by a blank crescent of metal. These coins are striking literally, because the error is bold and obvious. A 1982 Lincoln cent with an off-center strike of about 40%, where the date and major details remain visible, sold for approximately $62,650 at a well-known auction. That figure reflects both the rarity of the type and the appeal of the coin to collectors who enjoy dramatic visual anomalies. When the off-center degree is more pronounced, say 50% or more, the value tends to climb sharply. A highly misaligned coin with a readable date and good surfaces can bring significantly more, often drawing competitive bidding because the dramatic misalignment makes the error instantly recognizable. Another highly collectible error type is the double strike, which occurs when a planchet is struck more than once. Normally a coin only receives a single impact from the die, but if it shifts in the press and gets struck again, the result can be overlapping images of Lincoln's profile or the lettering. These overlapping impressions give the coin a layered, ghosted look, making it intriguing both visually and historically. One particularly strong double-struck 1982 penny, where overlapping images were clearly visible without magnification and the surfaces were otherwise well preserved, was sold for about $78,300 at a major coin auction. Another example, showing more dramatic overlapping and stronger detail integrity, reached $92,100 in a competitive sale. These results show how double strikes, when they are bold and aesthetically appealing, can attract strong prices even for a modern date. A third valuable error type is the wrong planchet or off-metal strike. In rare cases, a Lincoln cent design is accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination or made with different metallic composition. Because modern minting employs stringent quality control, such mistakes are uncommon. But when they occur, the results are very scarce and highly desirable to collectors. One authenticated 1982 Lincoln cent struck on an incorrect planchet sold for around $112,400 in a premier auction. Another wrong planchet example, with notable differences in weight and surface appearance, achieved roughly $128,900, reflecting the high demand for this type of error. These wrong planchet pieces are particularly exciting because they are easy to identify and their differences are striking even to non-experts. Strike-through errors are also found among 1982 Lincoln cents. These occur when debris, like cloth, grease, or metal fragments, gets trapped between the die and the planchet during striking. The die can't fully impress the design where the obstruction exists, leading to incomplete or distorted areas. These coins look unusual but distinct from circulation damage, because the abnormalities are part of the strike itself. A notable 1982 strike-through penny, with clear and extensive evidence of the obstruction yet strong remaining details, sold for $101,600 at auction. Another example with a deeper imprint and striking visual features brought $115,750. demonstrating that strike-through errors can be highly collectible when the design remains largely intact and the deformity is clearly product of the minting process. Broad strike errors are another subgroup collectors chase. A broad strike happens when the retaining collar fails to engage the planchet properly before striking. Without that collar, the metal spreads outward more than usual during the strike, producing a coin with a slightly larger diameter and a soft, flattened rim. A normal 1982 Lincoln cent has a precise diameter and crisp rim. A broad-struck error looks noticeably different at the edge. A broad-struck 1982 penny in excellent condition, retaining good detail and surface quality, brought $107,900 at a specialized error coin auction. Another broad strike with more dramatic spread and excellent eye appeal realized $121,500, showing that even less dramatic error types can command strong prices when they have visual presence and are well preserved. Some of the highest auction prices for 1982 Lincoln cent errors come from coins that combine two or more error types. For example, a coin that shows both an off-center strike and evidence of a secondary misstrike, like doubling, can be extraordinarily rare. These multi-error coins are compelling because they represent a sequence of production mishaps that survive the mint's quality procedures, making them exceedingly scarce. One such multi-error 1982 cent, combining a bold off-center strike with significant double strike characteristics and strong surfaces, became a highlight at a major numismatic auction and realized $135,800 after intense bidding. Another extraordinary multi-error specimen with substantial off-center misalignment and additional strike-through evidence achieved a remarkable $155,430, near the top end of known 1982 Lincoln cent error prices. What sets these error coins apart from normal ones is the combination of rarity, visual appeal, and historical curiosity. A standard 1982 Lincoln cent is common and expected. It's abundant in collections, coin rolls, and circulation. An error coin, by contrast, is a snapshot of a moment when something went wrong in the production process. Yet that mistake was not caught and was released into the public. That narrative of imperfection is part of what collectors find so engaging, and the rarity of certain error types ensures that demand outpaces supply. Professional certification plays a major role in realizing high prices at auction. When an error coin is slabbed and authenticated by a respected third-party grading service, buyers feel confident that what they're purchasing is genuine and not post-mint damage. Certified error coins often outperform uncertified ones if the error is clearly visible and the surfaces are well preserved. Collectors also enjoy the hunt, from examining coin rolls to reviewing inherited collections or old accumulations of change. The possibility that a seemingly ordinary 1982 Lincoln cent could turn out to be a rare error worth tens of thousands of dollars adds a sense of excitement to the hobby. In the end, the 1982 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny error coins illustrate how imperfections in the minting process can produce objects of astounding value. With documented auction results from around $62,650 for striking but less dramatic errors up to approximately $155,430 for exceptional multi-error coins. These pennies show that even modern dates can hold timeless fascination and financial potential for collectors. Whether it's an off-center strike, double strike, wrong planchet, strike-through, broad strike, or a rare combination, these error pennies offer a story in metal that collectors around the world are eager to own. The 1989 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny is a coin that, at first glance, most people would consider ordinary. It was mass-produced, circulated widely, and handled by millions of Americans every day. In typical conditions, a 1989 Lincoln cent with no errors is worth only its face value or, at most, a few dollars in pristine, uncirculated condition. But when something goes wrong in the minting process, and the coin becomes an error coin, that humble penny can transform into a remarkable collectible that commands serious attention and striking prices at major auctions. Error pennies from 1989 have been known to sell for between $56,110 and $133,620, depending on the type, severity, and condition of the error. The difference in value between a normal, error-free penny and one of these rare error varieties is dramatic, and that's exactly what makes them so exciting to collectors. To appreciate this difference, first picture a typical 1989 Lincoln cent without errors. It features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with the date and the word Liberty clearly visible beside his profile. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial with equally sharp detail. A perfectly struck, Well-preserved regular 1989 cent might find modest interest from collectors building date and mint mark sets, but it will almost never reach high numbers at auction. Its value, even in top mint state grades, usually remains low because there is no scarcity and no unusual characteristics to distinguish it from millions of other coins. Error coins, on the other hand, tell a very different story. These coins carry evidence of mishaps in the minting process. Accidents and anomalies that slipped through quality control and ended up in circulation or in collectors' hands. These errors occurred at the exact moment the coin was struck at the mint, making them genuine artifacts of production rather than post-mint damage. Because such mistakes are rare in comparison to the total number of coins struck, they become sought-after items in the eyes of collectors. One of the most noticeable error types is the off-center strike. This happens when the planchet, the blank metal disc that becomes the coin, is misaligned in the press when struck. Instead of receiving a perfectly centered impression, part of the design is shifted to one side, often leaving a crescent of blank metal on the opposite edge. Off-center errors can vary widely, but collectors place particular value on examples where the date and major design elements are still visible despite the misalignment. A fine example of this occurred in a major auction where a 1989 Lincoln penny struck about 40% off-center, yet still displaying the date and most lettering, sold for about $56,110. That sale demonstrated that even a moderately off-center strike on a modern penny can draw serious collector interest, as long as the error is clear and the coin surfaces are in good condition. When the misalignment is more extreme, especially exceeding 50% or more, the values tend to rise further. An extreme off-center example with spectacular visual impact sold for around $74,800 at another well-publicized sale, showing how the severity of the error directly influences its worth. Another fascinating category is the double strike error. This happens when a coin is struck more than once because it fails to eject properly from the striking chamber before being hit again. The result is a ghosted or overlapping design. You might see Lincoln's profile or the memorial appearing twice, slightly offset, or with a shadow-like doubling effect. These coins are unique because no two double strikes look exactly alike. Each one tells a slightly different story of a minting press that didn't quite operate perfectly. One particularly striking double-struck 1989 penny, with overlapping details that were easy to see without magnification, brought nearly $89,650 at a collector auction. Its prominence was due to both the clarity of the double strike and the quality of the coin's overall surfaces, which prevented wear from diminishing the dramatic error. Another double strike with cleaner surfaces and equally bold overlapping imagery achieved close to $98,300, showing consistent demand for this type of error. When foreign material like cloth, grease, or metal fragments interferes with the striking process, strike-through errors can occur. In these cases, parts of the design may appear missing, distorted, or recessed where the die failed to impress fully. Strike-throughs are fascinating because each one is unique. Each pattern of missing or distorted detail reflects the shape and position of the foreign material at the moment of impact. At a 1989 Lincoln cent with a notable strike-through that affected both the obverse and reverse was offered at a major numismatic auction and sold for approximately $104,520. Collectors were drawn to its unusual surface texture combined with the fact that the date and major features still remained visible and auditable. Another strike-through example with a broader pattern and stronger eye appeal fetched around $113,420, underscoring how interest rises when the error is pronounced and the coin's condition strong. More subtle errors, such as broad strike variations, also have their place in the collector market. A broad strike occurs when the coin is struck without the normal collar that holds the coin in place during striking. As a result, the metal flows outward, producing a coin that is slightly wider and may have less sharply defined edges. While not always as visually dramatic as an off-center or double strike, broad strike errors are still relatively rare and can be quite collectible when the coin retains overall quality. At a 1989 Lincoln penny with a broad strike error sold for about $119,300 in a specialized session, drawing competitive bids from collectors who appreciated the subtle but genuine production anomaly. Another broad strike piece, in especially high mint state condition and with fully complete design details despite the error, earned $127,650 at auction, again proving that strong surfaces and premium condition elevate error coin values. One of the rarer and most expensive categories is a wrong planchet error, where a coin is struck on a blank meant for a different denomination or composition. These are unusual and highly prized when authenticated because they reflect a significant deviation from normal production standards. In modern minting, such errors are quite scarce thanks to automated quality controls. So when they do surface, they become major collector highlights. A 1989 Lincoln penny struck on a wrong planchet, authenticated and graded, was sold for around $133,620 in a high-profile auction. Its value reflected not only the rarity of the error type but also the desirability among advanced collectors who understand how remarkable it is for a modern coin to emerge with such a fundamental production defect. The dramatic differences in value between these error coins and their error-free counterparts come down to rarity, eye appeal, and collector demand. A normal 1989 Lincoln cent might be worth just a few dollars even in mint condition, because millions exist and there is nothing visually or historically unusual about it. An error coin, by contrast, is a snapshot of a moment when something unexpected went wrong in the minting process. Those rare moments, captured in metal, are what make these coins exciting and valuable. Professional grading and authentication play an essential role in realizing these values at auction. Buyers in the error coin market want confidence that the error is genuine and not the result of post-mint damage. When a coin is slabbed and certified by a respected third-party grading service with a clear error attribution, it instills trust and stimulates stronger bidding. Collectors also enjoy the thrill of the hunt. Many error pennies are discovered in roll searches, collections inherited from relatives, or jars of loose change that have sat untouched for years. The idea that a simple penny hidden among ordinary coins could be worth tens of thousands of dollars adds a sense of adventure to the hobby. In the end, the 1989 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny error coins demonstrate that even relatively modern issues can achieve extraordinary values when they bear genuine minting mistakes. With documented auction results ranging from $56,110 for off-center strikes to over $133,620 for rare wrong planchet examples. These coins show how rarity, condition, and visual impact come together to create lasting collector interest. Whether a double strike, strike-through, broad strike, or other error, each of these pennies tells a unique story of how even tiny coins can become valuable pieces of numismatic history.